Of course, the Earth is not flat, the Earth is round. Otherwise, travelers would be falling off the edge all the time. Right? Wrong. If the Earth was not a ball shape, but was instead a flat disk, like this plate, well, with the right density and thickness, living in the middle could feel pretty normal. But as you moved toward the edge, gravity on a disk Earth would slightly skew, pushing at a greater and greater angle back toward the center. My friend Nick from Yeti Dynamics put together this great simulation. The person and buildings obviously aren't to scale, but check out how such increasingly diagonal gravity would work. Although this is a flat disk, it would feel to a runner headed toward the edge like they were fighting to climb up a steeper and steeper hill. The building foundations behind the runner reflect how you would have to build structures closer and closer to the edge so that people living in them always felt like down was at right angles to the floor, the way we feel it on our big round Earth. Now, as you approach the edge, things would get scary. Remember, this is a flat Earth, but it would feel like a sheer drop-off. What's really cool is that contrary to the don't fall off the edge fear, on a flat world, because of gravity, the scary risk would actually be falling away from the edge and rolling all the way back to the center. Once you stepped over the edge, instead of falling off into space, you'd be able to relax. It would be a nice, level place. This model, of course, neglects the fact that such a planet shape would be impossible. Anything as massive as the Earth, shaped like a flat disk, would, under its own gravity, naturally collapse back into a ball. This is why in outer space, everything more than a few hundred miles in diameter is round. Or so we've been told. What if gravity isn't real? What if the Earth is in fact flat and science has been wrong all along? It's a misconception that Christopher Columbus discovered that the Earth is round. Virtually every scholar and major religion in the West accepted Earth's rotundity since at least the time of the ancient Greeks, who, for instance, had noticed that boats disappear bottom first when sailing away, and as you walk north and south, stars pop into and out of view. But in 1906, Wilbur Glenn Vsauce became head of a slightly bizarre religious sect that pretty much ran the city of Zion, Illinois. Vsauce believed that the Earth was actually flat, and he enforced flat Earth teachings in schools in Zion. He also enforced that belief on really anyone who entered the city. Vsauce believed not only that the Earth was flat, but that the sun was only a few thousand miles away from Earth, not 93 million. He also believed that the sun was only 32 miles across, not 860,000. He sounds crazy. Or does he? You see, the same phenomenon Eratosthenes measured could be explained by a flat Earth if the sun were only a few thousand miles away and 32 miles across. The math would work out the same. Today, with the power of the internet, modern-day flat earthers have picked up where Vsauce left off. They have quite good explanations for any evidence you throw at them that the Earth is round. Circumnavigation is really just a flat circle path. The round shadow Earth casts on the moon during a lunar eclipse could also be made by a flat disk. Time zones are caused by a spotlight sun. And remember how gravity would be totally different on a disc-shaped planet? Well, they argue that gravity as we know it simply doesn't exist. The flat disk of Earth is merely accelerating up at 9.8 meters per second.
Hundreds of calls a month where guys cannot re-verify their data. One of the common issues that we see is the Coriolis effect. As the bullet leaves the barrel of the gun, the Earth is still rotating and the bullet is not rotating with the Earth. So it actually rotates from the west to the east. So what that's going to do to our targets is if you're shooting west, your target's going to rotate up and towards us, which is going to cause the bullets to hit lower. And if you're facing east, the target's going to be dropping and slightly moving away, which is going to cause the hits to be higher.
The motion from the Earth's rotation can be split into two components, one that is in the direction of the bullet's flight and one that is perpendicular to the bullet's flight in the vertical direction. In Wyoming, the vertical speed of the target is approximately 2.7 inches per second. This will vary with latitude becoming greater at the equator.
On the surface of the Earth, the only indication our planet is rotating is in the observation of the sun during the day and the stars during the night. Every day the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, but we are completely unaware that we are traveling to the east at hundreds of miles per hour. Now what if we were to have two people sit on opposite sides of the merry-go-round and try to throw a ball to one another? You can see that as the ball leaves the hands of the person throwing it, it becomes independent of the rotation of the merry-go-round, and therefore follows a straight path. But because the person trying to catch the ball is still rotating with the merry-go-round, they are quickly moved out of the ball's intended path. Because the merry-go-round is spinning counterclockwise, this deflection is to the right. If it were spinning clockwise, the deflection would be to the left. Now, to an observer above the merry-go-round, the path of the ball appears straight. However, to people on the merry-go-round, the path of the ball curves to the right of the intended motion. This also demonstrates how air movement on the Earth's surface can be deflected by the Earth's rotation, a phenomenon called the Coriolis effect. Watch as Amanda pushes the ball out to the center and it makes a complete circle back to her other side. Some important facts about Coriolis force. First, the Coriolis force causes objects to deflect to the right of their intended path in the northern hemisphere, and to the left in the southern hemisphere. This is why low-pressure systems like hurricanes and extratropical cyclones circulate counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. Third, the strength of the deflection is proportionate to the speed. For example, the faster an airplane flies, the more the pilot must adjust the flight track to account for the Coriolis force.
As for all of the photos and video evidence we now have that the Earth is round thanks to space exploration, well, all of that material is completely fabricated. A hoax perpetrated by Big Globe. Space agencies, airlines, globe manufacturers, they are reaping the rewards of our ignorant belief that the Earth is actually round. They know, of course, that it's flat, and they're hiding that truth from us. Is it merely a coincidence that the logo used by the Flat Earth Society is a projection of Earth centered on the North Pole and also happens to be the projection used by the United Nations? Are these people for real? Probably not most of them, but this is the crux of Poe's law. An adage that states that at their extremes, parody of extremism and sincere extremism are difficult to distinguish. Although clever, flat Earth theories are predominantly ad hoc explanations, excuses made up on the spot that only address one issue and don't fit all the evidence. Science, of course, rejects a theory if a better one fits more of our observations,